Planet X was doing fine, until the Reptilions arrived in this great game that I especially loved playing back when I was a kid. Escape from the planet of the robot monsters. This evil race are set on destroying Earth, so they have captured the buxom and certainly very brainy Cerebellum. Wait, Cerebellum. Haha, awesome. This evil race have also enslaved all Planet X's inhabitants and are forcing them to build an army of robot zombies. Your heroes, Jake or his buddy Duke, are set about rescuing the hostages and saving Sarah. Armed with a ray gun and a fistful of bombs, you have to work through the planet, destroying the robots and their equipment and rescuing the hostages as you go. The planet is made up of several sections, each section divided into 3 or 4 levels. Getting from one level to the next usually involves finding and switching on the escalator, or climbing up the conveniently placed ladders. Rescuing the hostages, which are usually dressed in bikinis, is simple enough. You just have to walk into them, and they are then beamed aboard the orbiting shuttle, and every shuttle load earns you some extra energy as well as points. On every section of every level, you will find progress hindered by all manner of weird and wonderful robots that fire and bash into you, causing a dramatic loss of energy and eventually life. Destroying them involves blasting them with the ray gun. Some robots take more than one hit to be killed, but you can increase the power of the ray gun by picking up green crystals left behind when certain robots are killed. Those of you in the UK will recognise a likeness of these robots to Weetabix cereal. At least that's what I used to think they looked like when I was a kid, and I'm glad the Commodore 64 port remained faithful to the arcades and kept those little guys in the game. There are 2 basic types of sector, ones where you rescue hostages and ones where you take on a large reptilian. Amiga owners have an additional section where Jake and Duke must simultaneously fly through a maze inside a very strict time limit. Basically, you fly a craft, which you must pilot along the canals before the time limit runs out. The tricky bit is that some canals are just dead ends, but once you learn the routes in each of these sections, it becomes a doddle, as they are always the same. In both the hostage rescuing and reptilian killing stages, there's a shared view of the isometric 3D landscape. A little bit like the situation in Gauntlet. If you're playing 2-player mode and one of you goes down a lift, for example, you'll be in limbo, until your other player follows. Games which had this feature always caused a few arguments when playing with my brother. It is possible to regain energy by shooting open cabinets, which sometimes contain food and sometimes extra bombs. Then there are the traps. Often a level will also contain traps like the floor tiles, which disappear and reappear, and can be tricky to avoid sometimes. However, most of these can be passed with careful timing. The basic idea, as already mentioned, is to run around shooting robots and rescuing hostages by running into them. So far, so familiar, but there's plenty of fun touches in this Gauntlet style game. Control systems need to be found to activate elevators on the Amiga, which are replaced by ladders in this Commodore 64 version. One thing I was a little disappointed with on the Commodore 64 version was the colour scheme of this port, which consisted of putrid greens, dark blues, creamy whites and so on, where I think the graphics could have been implemented a little better here. But I guess the C64 programmers only had 16 colours to work with. Escape from the planet of the robot monsters might not be considered a classic, but it's certainly playable all the same. The wacky plot helps create a fun atmosphere, backed up by cartoon graphics which are humorously animated on both the Commodore 64 and the Amiga versions. I particularly love the way the heroes hang on for dear life after falling over the edge. The game's downfall is its repetitiveness, and there's nowhere near enough variety to keep interest levels high. Believe it or not, even rescuing bikini-clad beauties gets boring after a while. Inevitably, the Commodore 64 version lacks quite a few of the coin-op elements, using lots of electrocution tiles to compensate, but it's still quite fast and playable. A funny story I read somewhere is that one of the UK Atari ST magazines offered a playable demo of this on a cover disc. Or at least that's how it seemed, until tens of thousands of readers loaded it up and found themselves presented with the full game, then retailing at £25. I don't know how much of that is true, but I can imagine a lot of happy faces for those who bought the magazine that month. All in all, two fine conversions of a fun coin-op, which should easily whittle away some time and keep you entertained for a little while at least. Thanks for watching, guys. What did you think of Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters? I mean, just look at the box for the game. This is enough to warrant adding it to your collection, surely. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. As always, I'd like to once again tell you guys that your support for the channel is massively appreciated, and if you're enjoying the nostalgia, then please do consider joining me on this epic journey by subscribing to the channel. There's more and more classics being revisited daily, and plenty more in the archives on the channel playlists. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, bye for now.